Hey there, fellow horror aficionados. Welcome back to Real Talk, your go-to podcast for all things horror. I'm your host, Josh Bell, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you join me once again on this exhilarating journey through the darkest corners of cinema. Before we plunge into today's discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on our recent explorations into the world of terror. In our last spine-chilling episode, we dove deep into the horrifying landscape of 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, dissecting its raw intensity and unraveling its lasting impact on the genre. If you haven't caught up on that episode yet, you're in for a screen-worthy treat. Now, dear listeners, I want to hear from you. What spine-tingling horror movie experiences have left you sleepless at night? Have you stumbled upon any hidden gems that sent shivers down your spine? Share your thoughts, recommendations, and hair-raising tales with us. Drop us an email at therealrealtalk@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram and Threads at realrealtalk. Your insights could spark a spine-chilling conversation in an upcoming episode. With that said, let's embrace ourselves for another pulse-pounding journey into the heart of fear. Get ready to scream, shiver, and perhaps even sleep with one eye open. The nightmare is about to begin with The Exorcist. All right, buckle up, folks, because we're diving into the true heart of darkness with William Friedkin's bone-chilling masterpiece, The Exorcist. Picture this, we're in Washington, D.C., the early 1970s, an era marked by social upheaval and shifting cultural norms. Amidst this backdrop, everything seems peachy keen in the life of young Regan MacNeil, played by the talented Linda Blair, and her loving mom, Chris, portrayed by the amazing Ellen Burstyn. But hold on to your hats, because beneath that seemingly calm surface lies a whole world of sinister secrets. Do you know that The Exorcist is based on William Peter Blatty's novel of the same name, which was inspired by a real-life exorcism case? It's true, Blatty's novel was a sensation, and the film adaptation was highly anticipated, but also met with controversy and protest upon its release due to its shocking content. Despite this, or perhaps because of it, the film became a cultural phenomenon, solidifying its place in horror history. Regan's descent into madness kicks off innocently enough with a harmless game of Ouija. But soon, things spiral into a nightmare of epic proportions. As Regan's behavior takes a dark turn, her mom, Chris, is pushed to the brink, desperately seeking answers and help from every corner. Enter Father Damien Karras, played by the fantastic Jason Miller, a priest struggling with his own demons. Drawn into the MacNeil family's nightmare, Father Karras faces the battle of a lifetime against the forces of evil. With the help of seasoned exorcist Father Marin, brought to life by the legendary Max von Sydow. But The Exorcist isn't just a tale of possession. It's a deep look into the human psyche's darkest corners. Friedkin's direction weaves a story that's as emotionally powerful as it is spine-chilling. From the eerie visuals to the hair-raising sound design, every element is crafted to perfection, sucking viewers deeper into the nightmare with each scene. What truly sets The Exorcist apart is its exploration of faith and doubt, good and evil. As Father Karras battles his own demons, viewers are forced to confront their fears and beliefs, making for a truly unforgettable experience. The Exorcist had a seismic impact on the horror genre and pop culture as a whole. It redefined the boundaries of what could be shown on screen and sparked widespread debate about the role of religion and spirituality in modern society. Its groundbreaking effects and relentless sense of dread continue to influence filmmakers and terrify audiences today. With its top-notch performances, groundbreaking effects, and relentless sense of dread, The Exorcist remains a timeless classic that continues to terrify us decades later. So whether you're a horror aficionado or a newbie, this is a must-watch. Consider yourself warned. Let's take a look at what makes The Exorcist such an unforgettable journey into terror. Friedkin's masterful storytelling isn't just about delivering scares, it's about crafting an immersive experience that grips you right from the opening scene. He takes his time laying the groundwork, allowing us to become intimately acquainted with the characters and their relationships. This deliberate pacing pays dividends as the tension steadily mounts, drawing us deeper into the nightmarish world of the MacNeil family. Consider the film's iconic opening sequence, where we're introduced to Father Merrin on an archaeological dig in Iraq. This seemingly unrelated prologue sets the stage for the supernatural horrors to come, planting seeds of unease in the viewer's mind that linger throughout the film. Another standout example of pacing done right is the slow escalation of Regan's possession. We witness subtle changes in her behavior and demeanor, from innocent playfulness to disturbing outbursts, building a sense of dread that culminates in the infamous bedroom scene where her demonic transportation is fully revealed. Friedkin's meticulous attention to detail in these moments creates an atmosphere of creeping dread that's really far more effective than any jump scare would have been. And you can't forget the pivotal confrontation between Father Karras and the demon within Regan. This climactic showdown is a masterclass in tension and release, with each exorcism attempt ratcheting up the stakes until the explosive final moments. It's a pulse-pounding sequence that left me on the edge of my seat, breathless with anticipation. And now, while The Exorcist is undeniably a horror classic, it's not without its flaws. Some critics have cited pacing issues, particularly in the extended director's cut, where certain scenes may feel tangential to the main plot. For example, the subplot involving Father Karras' strained relationship with his mother can be seen as detracting from the film's primary focus on Regan's possession. However, it's in these moments of character development ultimately that add the depth to the narrative, offering the insights into the psychological struggles that are faced by the film's protagonists. And what sets this movie apart from its peers is its commitment to exploring deeper themes beyond shock value. Friedkin delves into the fundamental question of faith, doubt, and the nature of evil, challenging us as viewers to confront our own beliefs in the face of the supernatural terror. It's its intellectual engagement combined with a visceral horror that elevates The Exorcist to a legendary status. And you can't overlook the powerhouse performances that bring these complex characters to life. Linda Blair's portrayal of Regan is mesmerizing, capturing the innocence of youth juxtaposed with this horror of possession. Ellen Burstyn, Jason Miller, and Max von Sydow delivering equally compelling performances, infusing their roles with depth and nuance that resonate with us. Together they form the beating heart of The Exorcist, anchoring its terrifying narrative in the realm of human emotion and experience. In The Exorcist, the cast delivers performances that'll send shivers down your spine. Linda Blair's portrayal of Regan is mesmerizing, capturing, as I said, that innocence of youth and the horror of possession with equal skill. Ellen Burstyn brings a raw emotion to her role as Chris. You'll feel every ounce of her desperation as she fights to save her daughter from the forces of evil. And Jason Miller knocks it out of the park as Father Karras. He brings in a depth and complexity to the character that'll keep you glued to your screen. And Max von Sydow rounding out this main cast with his commanding presence as Father Merrin, the seasoned exorcist. His portrayal is equal parts reassuring and chilling, adding extra layers to the depth of the film. Throughout The Exorcist, we see these characters undergo profound transformations. Chris evolves from a loving mom to a desperate guardian, driven by a fierce maternal instinct. Father Karras, whose journey from doubt to conviction serves as the film's thematic backbone. His struggle with faith and his eventual redemption make for some seriously compelling storytelling. As for Father Merrin, he's the steady hand guiding Father Karras through the darkness, reminding us that even in the face of evil, there's always hope. Overall, the characters in The Exorcist are richly drawn and expertly portrayed, adding depth and complexity to an already chilling tale. It's their performances that really elevate this movie from horror flick to timeless classic. Right. Let's peel back the layers of The Exorcist and really dig into what makes this movie more than just your average scarefest. It's time to get cozy and talk about the deeper stuff that lurks just beneath the surface. So you know that classic battle between good and evil? Well, The Exorcist dives headfirst into that age-old showdown. It's not just about a possessed girl. It's a clash of epic proportions between the forces of light and darkness. Through the characters of Father Karras and Father Merrin, the movie paints a vivid picture of the struggle between what's right and what's downright terrifying. And let's talk about faith and doubt. Picture Father Karras wrestling with his own beliefs while trying to save Regan from demonic possession. It's like a tug-of-war between what he knows in his heart and the horrors he's facing. Sound familiar? That's because it's a theme that hits close to home for all of us. The search for meaning in a world that's often filled with uncertainty. And the power of love. Love is the beating heart of The Exorcist. Triss's fierce determination to save her daughter is the beacon of hope in the darkness. He's not backing down, no matter how scary things get. And that's what love does, right? It gives us the strength to face the scariest demons, whether they're literal or metaphorical. And let's talk about symbols. You got your crucifix, right? It's not just a piece of jewelry, it's a weapon against evil, but it's also a symbol of faith and redemption, a reminder that even in the darkest times, belief can light the way. And then there's the staircase. It's not just a way to get from point A to point B, it's a metaphor for the journey into darkness. Every step down feels like a descent into madness, mirroring the characters' inner struggles. And you can't forget Regan's twisted face. It's more than just a creepy image. It's a chilling reminder of the true nature of evil and the havoc it can wreak on the human soul. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The Exorcist isn't just about scares, it's about tapping into the fears and anxieties of the time. Think about it. The 70s were a pretty tumultuous time, right? So the movie becomes a way to process all that chaos, to confront our own demons in a safe place. And then there's this whole religion meets psychology thing. Father Karras, with his background in psychiatry, adds a whole new layer to the mix. It's like science and spirituality are doing this intricate dance, blurring the lines between what's real and what's beyond our understanding. So yeah, The Exorcist isn't just a horror movie. It's a journey into the human psyche, a mirror held up to our deepest fears and desires, and that's what makes it a classic, something that sticks with you long after you've left the viewing. Okay, so now let's dive into the visual feast that is The Exorcist. Because let's be real, a horror movie isn't just about what happens, it is about how it looks and feels. And trust me, The Exorcist knows how to set the mood. So picture this, you're in the dimly lit halls of the MacNeil's home, the air thick with tension, every creak of the floorboards sends a shiver down your spine, and you can't shake the feeling that something sinister is lurking just out of sight. That's the magic of The Exorcist cinematography. It's all about creating atmosphere, pulling you into the heart of the horror with every shadowy frame. And talk about lighting, or the lack of it, because The Exorcist isn't afraid to plunge you into the darkness. The use of low-key lighting adds to the overall sense of unease, leaving you squinting at the screen and jumping at every flicker of movement. And when the light does come in, it's often harsh and unforgiving, casting long, ominous shadows that seem to stretch on forever. And then there's the camera work. And oh boy, does The Exorcist know how to mess with your head. The slow, creeping movements of the camera build tension, drawing you in closer and closer until you can practically feel the breath of the demon on your neck. And when things start to go sideways, the quick cuts and frenetic camera movements leave you feeling dizzy and disoriented, just like our characters on screen. And then the stuff that really sticks with you. Like that poster, the one with Reagan's twisted face, bathed in sickly green light, staring right into your soul. It's an image that's burned into my consciousness, a visual shorthand for pure, unadulterated terror. And then there's all the practical effects. Sure, they may look a little dated now, but back in the 70s, these were cutting edge. From Reagan's contorted body to the projectile pea soup vomit, yes, you read that right, every gory detail in this film is brought to life with shocking realism, leaving you wondering how they pulled it off without any CGI. But perhaps the most memorable visual element of all is the crucifix scene. You know the one I'm talking about. It's the moment that'll be burned into your brain forever. Reagan, contorted, screaming obscenities, wielding a crucifix like a weapon against Father Karras. It's a scene that's both horrifying and strangely almost beautiful, a perfect encapsulation of the film's themes of faith and redemption. So, Exorcist is a visual roller coaster of terror. It'll have you gripping the edge of the seat until the very end. All right, let's crank up the volume and chat about how The Exorcist messes with your ears as much as it does with your eyes. Because honestly, the right sound can make or break a horror movie experience. So imagine you're sitting there, popcorn in hand, and suddenly you hear the faintest creak of a floorboard. Your heart skips a beat, and you find yourself leaning in closer, straining to hear what comes next. That's the magic of The Exorcist sound design. It's like they're playing with your nerves, layering on sounds until you're practically vibrating with anticipation. And then there's the music. Oh man, the music. It's like a character all its own, lurking in the background, waiting to strike when you least expect it. Whether it's the eerie, otherworldly tones of tubular bells or the haunting chants of a Latin hymn, the music of The Exorcist is like a siren's call, drawing you deeper into the nightmare. And then the jump scares. Those moments that make you jump out of your seat and spill your drink everywhere? The Exorcist is full of them. And a big part of what makes them effective is the sound design. It's like they're playing a game with you, lulling you into a false sense of security, and then bam, hitting you with a sudden crash of thunder or a blood-curdling scream. But in this film, it's not just about jump scares. The Exorcist uses sound to create an atmosphere of dread and unease throughout. It's the constant buzz of a fly, the distant echo of chanting, the eerie silence of an empty room. All of it adds up to a sense of impending doom that hangs over the entire film like a cloud. So the next time you watch, pay special attention to the sound, because it's not there to just fill the silence. It's there to mess with your head and keep you up at night. All right, now let's talk about how The Exorcist keeps your heart racing and your palms sweaty with its pacing and editing. Because let's be real, it's not always just about what happens in a horror movie, it's about how it happens. So picture yourself settling in for the night of scares with The Exorcist. The pacing isn't like a sprint, it's more like a marathon. It takes its time, slowly building tension and anticipation with each passing scene. It's like you're on a slow roller coaster ride, inching your way up that first big drop, waiting for the bottom to fall out from under you. And when it finally does, it's a heart-pounding rush that leaves you gasping for air. And then how does it keep you hooked from start to finish? The Exorcist isn't content to just scare you once in a while. It wants to keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Pacing is like a master puppeter, pulling the strings and keeping you guessing at every turn. It's a wild ride that leaves you breathless, desperate to see what happens next. And then there's the editing. The Exorcist is full of clever editing choices that add to the overall sense of dread and unease. Take, for example, the way it cuts between different storylines. Jumping back and forth between different characters and locations, the film creates a sense of urgency and tension that keeps you glued to the screen. And you can't forget the quick cuts and montages. They're like punches to the gut, hitting you fast and hard with a barrage of disturbing images that leave you reeling. It's a jarring effect that adds to the overall sense of disorientation and terror. Overall, the pacing and editing of The Exorcist work together like a well-oiled machine, keeping you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. It's this amazing suspense, drawing you in with its slow burn and keeping you hooked with its clever choices. So the next time you watch The Exorcist, pay attention to the pacing and editing and how they work together. Keep you tuned in. You won't be disappointed. Now it's time for that juicy stuff that makes The Exorcist the thing of nightmares, the scare factor, and all that gory goodness. Because let's be honest, horror movies are all about getting your heart racing and your palms sweaty. So how scary is The Exorcist really? Well, let me tell you, for me, it's a roller coaster ride through a haunted house, terrifying, exhilarating, and guaranteed to make you scream. From the moment it starts, you can feel the tension building, like a tightrope stretched taut between your nerves. And when the scares finally come, they hit you like a freight train, leaving you grasping for air and checking over your shoulder for those demons. And then there's the gross stuff. The Exorcist isn't afraid to get its hands dirty when it comes to blood and guts. Whether it's Regan's twisted contortions or the infamous projectile vomiting, it's the stuff of nightmares. The movie pulls no punches when it comes to graphic imagery, and while some might find it a bit much, there's no denying that it adds to the overall sense of horror and unease. But here's the thing. The Exorcist isn't about cheap thrills and gross-out moments. It's about the mind games it plays with you, messing with your head in the best possible way. Sure, there are plenty of jump scares to keep you on your toes, but there's also a deeper, more psychological horror at play here. It's the kind of horror that sticks with you long after the credits roll, leaving you questioning what's real and what's just a trick of the mind. So when it comes to the scare factor and gore, The Exorcist delivers the goods in spades. It's a wild, terrifying ride that'll leave you screaming for more. Just be sure to keep the lights on when you go to bed tonight. So let's put a bow on our dive into the spine-tingling world of The Exorcist. So what's the verdict? Well, grab onto your seats because it's a wild ride from start to finish. Now, when it comes to recommending The Exorcist to listeners, let me tell you, if you're a fan of horror movies that make you double-check your closet before going to bed, then this one's a must-watch. It's the kind of film that'll have you peeking around corners and jumping at every little sound. But it's not just about the scares. The Exorcist has layers, my friends. It's like an onion of terror, with each peel revealing deeper and darker truths about fear, faith, and the human psyche. So if you're looking for a movie that'll leave you pondering the nature of evil, look no further. And hey, don't forget, if you've got thoughts or recommendations for future episodes, don't be shy. We're all ears over here. Shoot us an email at therealrealtalk@gmail.com or visit us on Instagram and Threads at realrealtalk. We love hearing from you, so don't hold back. Now, before we bid adieu, I've got a little something to whet your appetite for our next episode. Get ready to pack your bags because we're heading down under for a little Aussie horror with the 2005 film Wolf Creek. Trust me, it's going to be a wild ride. Until then, stay spooky, my friends.